Good morning. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins. Welcome to Financial Lovemaking. This is where we talk about love, life, money, and everything in between. And as usual, I'm here with my buddy, partner, and co-host, the entertainment director at Ebony Magazine, Miss S. Tia Brown. How you doing today, Tia?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good, doing good, doing good. So, what's on your mind today?
Yeah, well, today's topic is definitely one that interests me. It's Sherri Shepherd. She's someone that we've talked about in the past. We know that she's in the middle of a very bitter divorce battle with her estranged husband, Lamar Sally, who was a television writer. And, we just really heard some new information about the case. Apparently, they're in the process of negotiation, and Sherri offered Sally, his first name is Lamar, so let's use both first names. Sherri offered Lamar $100,000 as a lump sum settlement and $3,000 per month in child support for the surrogate who he now has custody, the surrogate child. The child conceived through a surrogate. That's the official way to say it. And he rejected the offer.
Wow.
He said, not enough. Not enough. Now, according to sources, allegedly their prenup says that Lamar is eligible for $60,000 in a lump sum payment. It doesn't give specific information around child support. So the $100,000 is more than he legally was supposed to get, according to that initial document. But as often in divorce, people contest what they're offered and they want more. So that's where they are.
Interesting. Well,
Yep.
I think that, first and foremost, this whole idea of Sherri Shepherd being just livid over the fact that she would have to pay alimony and or child support, it's kind of ridiculous. It's a silly double standard. You hear celebrities now, mostly female celebrities, that will say, "I refuse to pay a man alimony. I'm just not going to do it."
I know how
And right. Right, you talk about Sherri Shepherd, Candy Burris. I think Gabrielle Union was recorded saying something like that, and I just say, look, welcome to the club. Men have been doing this for the longest time, and if you got the money, you're going to have to pay. Marriage is a lifelong financial commitment, even if you don't stay married. That's the first thing. But on the flip side of that, it's unfortunate that you're seeing Lamar, it appears, or kind of engaging in these very, these sort of very typical, very sinister, unethical methods of getting more money, right? Because let's start here. Number one, you got a prenup. A prenup means that's what's going to happen when you get a divorce. That's why you sign a prenup. It's like an insurance policy saying this is what occurs if things don't work out. So why are you now challenging the prenup, saying, "Oh, it was, what was it? What do they say? They always say it was signed under fraudulent circumstances or
Yes,
something."
they always say. I
Well,
was under duress when I signed.
or you wasn't under no damn duress. You signed that damn thing. You need to
You
go
were
ahead.
under the dress.
Exactly, you were under the dress. There you go. That's funny too. So you made a deal. You made a commitment. You need to stick with your commitment. But I guess people are going to do what they can do in court. Lawyers can be pretty nasty. That's what happens. But then you go even deeper than that, and you ask yourself, okay, she's offered you $100,000 or $3,000 a month in child support. Under most circumstances, that is a lot of money. That's more than a fair commitment, especially for a woman who ain't got no job. Sherri Shepherd is now unemployed, and so for him to come back and say no, that's not enough. You're not saying you're not really saying that's not enough. What you're saying is that's not enough based on the fact that my wife made X amount of dollars a year. So if she made less money, it would be enough. You're ratcheting the amount up because you know that there's a bigger pot of gold for you to go for, and I don't like any of this. I think this is just kind of tacky at this point.
Well, I am very proud of you for holding the latter part of your standard for both women and men, because a lot of times you flip-flop between the genders. When people create prenuptial agreements, even though it's an escape plan, I do think that it's conceived with a lot of ideals. Most people don't assume that they're going to get divorced, and then you can never anticipate how you're going to feel in the midst of the divorce. However, I do agree with you. You have to stay true with your commitment. So if you decided that $60,000 was a fair amount, it is what it is. When we look up Lamar, I keep calling him John. That's a NBA player, John Sally.
John
Did I
Sally.
keep wanting to call him John Sally? But his name is Lamar Sally. If you look up Lamar's credits, he has not had an accomplished career comparable to Sherri Shepherd. And I think that you can't say because I was married to you for 3 years, I deserve part of what you've built over the last 20 years. It's just not fair. On the flip side, when you are getting a divorce, it is a negotiation process. And I think that Lamar is very savvy in understanding that whatever I get now is going to most likely have to hold me for a prolonged period of time, or else we're going to have to go back to court. And that's more fees and a greater process. So if it were a woman or a man, I want to be fair in that way, saying, this is your top negotiation time. So you're going to negotiate for the most that you can get. I do agree with you, though, and I hate to say this, ladies, sorry, that as women, if we want to be top earners, we have to understand that if we're the provider in the household, we're going to be treated as such when it's time for the divorce. So even though I personally would not want to give up any money if I was in a divorce, I do understand that if I'm in a relationship and I am the higher earner, that is what's going to happen. So again, with Lamar and Sherri, I think the biggest thing is that they both are going to have to eat a bit of humble pie if they want to get out of paying all of these court fees. It's estimated that Sherri's fortune is about $10 million. That can go very quickly, specifically when you're not employed. And that's the thing about entertainment. Like, you can have a great run. Sherri was on The View for 7 years. She had her own television show at one point. But none of those sources of income are active right now. So she has to live on potentially what she has for the rest of her life. And she has another child in custody. So, that's something that Lamar should be willing to think of in a fair way. Like, you didn't help earn that whole $10 million. So you can't get a big piece of the pie, brother.
Well, here's the for everybody out here thinking about becoming a baby mama or baby daddy, and you're the primary breadwinner. Understand that this is why child support and alimony can ultimately screw you. Your income sources may be inconsistent and variable, and may stop at some point, but you've committed to create a non-variable, consistent source of income for somebody else. So even when your career starts to take a nosedive or your income starts to drop, chances are the courts are still going to say, "Pay me,"
which is ridiculous.
It's
How
crazy.
can you pay what you don't have? So that is something that is very unfair for entertainers, athletes, people who have pay scales that vary. And it's really something that people should think about. And I don't get how, that isn't calculated into the thought process, but it's the truth.
Well, I think people need to calculate that in their thought process. They also need to make sure. I mean, I believe when you get married, go ahead and sign a prenup. Because number one, the divorce rate is too high for you to think that you're immune to the problems that exist in our society. You may never choose to divorce, but your partner might. Number two, a prenup isn't necessarily it's not a "I'm going to screw you financially" document. It's a document that just says that should things change, we're going to have the smoothest transition possible because everything's been arranged in advance, and that can be worked in your favor.
But the thing about prenups that we see is they're not ironclad. So even in getting a prenup, you also have to make provisions along the way, making sure that you're making smart choices and how you're relating to your spouse, how you're handling your business, because people contest prenups all the time.
Well, actually, they protest them. Yeah, you said they protest them all the time, and I want to double reiterate that people always protest. They always protest prenups all the time. If you've got money and you sign a deal, I'm sorry, when you get a divorce, unless your partner is just way on that extreme in terms of ethics. Most of the time, they're going to challenge the prenup, and they're going to come back and they're going to say something bogus. I was drunk when I signed it. He threatened to kill me if I didn't. Whatever. I was under duress. She gave me dirty looks and told me that if I didn't sign it, she'd be mad at me. And so ultimately, I think we do have to understand that there really are no protections in marriage, and the fact is that at the end of the day, you have to realize marriage is probably going to be a lifetime commitment, even if you get a divorce. You're not going to be able to make a commitment before the state and before God and before everybody, and then sort of decide that if it doesn't work out, I can just erase the past and start over with a clean slate, get a whole new family, and just sort of move forward as if it never happened. No, that's going to be a permanent mark on your record. That is you're writing in your book of life with ink and not pencil. You can't erase it, and it's going to be there. So before you get married, make sure you think that through and go to marriage counseling, read books. Make sure you know how to manage a marriage, and that's our big problem, Tia. And I'm not going to go into this tangent, but you know how I feel about this. Marriage doesn't work in America because people don't really understand what commitment really is. They don't.
So this will be my parting question to our listeners. Can Sherri and Lamar make it work? Should they give it another try? Have they tried hard enough to resolve their problems?
No.
Just going to divorce.
No.
Listen, stuff happens in relationships. People break up and make up.
That horse has been dead and kicked.
I don't agree. I want to hear what the listeners have to say. Instead of moving and fighting towards a divorce, should they be fighting for their love? Let us know. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.